All right, let's take a look at a couple of big NBA topics. The biggest is the NBA MVP award because, reminder, it's a regular season award. Fans still get confused and they think the playoffs have something to do with it. Nada, zero. It's a regular season award. And when I look at the leaders, it comes down to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic. Giannis is making a big run here. But here's a key stat that I want to throw out. Shai has played in 72 games. Nikola Jokic, 65. That's enough for me because the stats are pretty impressive for both of them. But Alexander, 32.8 points a game. Jokic, 29.7. We'll round that up to 30. And then when we look at the field goal percentage, 52.2 for Shai, but Jokic, 57.5. Comes to rebounds, 5 for Shai. Jokic, a pretty impressive number here, 12.8. But what could get Nikola Jokic the MVP is the assist. 10.2 for a center in regards to a guard, a point guard, who gets a total of, when it comes to this is mind-blowing to me, 6.4 assists a game. So if you want to look at the complete body of work, Nikola Jokic still could steal this award. But I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to win it because he's playing in more games. That's a significant number, man. 7 more NBA games is a big deal. 7 more games times 34 minutes a game. Just add up the numbers and the points. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will win the MVP award in the NBA, but Nikola Jokic in any other year would slam dunk this thing. I don't think this award has anything to do with your record, your personal record. Some do. I've never been that guy. But the fact that Oklahoma City is running away, absolutely running away with the West, he'll end up getting it. But man, the stars in this league are really making a push down the stretch, including Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, who's at 27.3 points a game, as the Celtics have been rolling as of late. I want to get into the Jimmy Butler rule going forward. Jimmy Butler has proven that if you act badly, if you have poor behavior, if you want to leave your team and pout and not play and quit, you could get rewarded and go to one of the best teams in the last 15 years in basketball, the Golden State Warriors. Other players have done this before. It's not the first time. But Jimmy Butler is the difference with the Warriors playing at an elite level now. You know, Steph had 52 the other night, one of the greatest games of all time. He doesn't get 52. He doesn't get 12 threes. He doesn't get all those looks if Jimmy Butler's not on the team. Jimmy Butler is the reason why the Warriors are a completely different team than they were before they got there. I just can't give Jimmy any credit because I know he's a quitter. He quit on Miami and the great Pat Riley. I'm talking about Pat Riley here. He didn't quit on some bum. He quit on Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra. He got rewarded to play with Draymond and Steph and Steve Kerr. And I think this is a slippery slope because more and more players are going to do this. If it works for Jimmy, it'll work for other players in the upcoming seasons. We saw Harden do it, but it backfired as he quit on the Rockets to go to Brooklyn, right? And he's bounced all over the league. But so far, it's worked for Jimmy Butler and the Warriors. But I'm not going to pat Jimmy on the back for that behavior because rewarding player entitlement and bad behavior is not what this league should be about. Cooper Flagg is playing in the Final Four for Duke. He's an elite player. I'm not going to say he's a once-in-a-generation player. We just saw Zion Williamson come from the same program at Duke. We've seen great college basketball players every 2 to 3 years who can play at this level like Flagg. But Flagg's special because I think he's going to be great for marketing and turning a franchise around. But what happens if Cooper Flagg doesn't want to go to the NBA and wants to stay at Duke for another year and make big NIL money? I think he'll go to the NBA because he wants to start the clock ticking on free agency so he can get a supermax contract. Look at these teams that are tanking. The Wizards. Look at the Wizards. 16-59. The Hornets, 19-56. And then you get to the Utah Jazz, who are 16-60. And the Pelicans, 21-54. The 76ers have been tanking more obviously than any other team in the league. Daryl Morey should resign in shame with the way that program has gone into the tank. But Cooper Flagg's going to go to a really bad team. And if he goes to the Washington Wizards, his career could die like a quarterback who goes to the Cleveland Browns. All those great quarterbacks out of college thought they would be the one to change the Cleveland Browns, and it's never worked. You could say the same thing about the Wizards. The Wizards are so bad that even Kevin Durant, who's from that area, doesn't even want to play there. That should send a message to Cooper Flagg. How about Durant forcing his way out of Phoenix to play with Cooper Flagg in Washington if he ends up there? There's still a lot to talk about with this young player out of Duke, but the fact that so many teams are obviously tanking for him is very concerning, and Adam Silver has no answer to this quandary. He can't figure it out. I thought he'd be the guy to figure it out. He's not. Adam Silver has so many problems going on with this league from the bottom of the standings when it comes to competitive spirit in the final weeks of the season. The NBA is a disaster because there's 6 or 7 teams, 6 or 7, that are scheduled to play every night in games against mid-level teams, above average teams, and great teams. And those 6 to 7 bottom dwellers are tanking. That makes for an overall bad product. I had a lot of fun talking about the Torpedo Bats until the Yankees had a bad game and struck out, 14 times. Look, the Torpedo Bat is legal. And if it's going to give a mental edge to a guy on the Yankees like Chad Chisholm, he struck out 4 times, 0 for 4 with 4 Ks with the bat the other day. But I thought it was a compelling topic here because it got people thinking again about the difference between knowingly cheating with performance-enhancing drugs, steroids, and not cheating at all, but looking for an advantage with the Torpedo Bat. I definitely think the Torpedo Bat is going to give average to above average baseball players an advantage. They're going to be able to get better contact on the bat through analytics of where they swing. They're going to have more confidence mentally when they come to the plate. And I think a lot of balls that maybe they would have hit on the ground or maybe would have just popped up, they're going to hit it on the sweet spot and hit it out of the ballpark. So I believe that the Torpedo Bat had a massive influence on baseball. But Rob Manfred doesn't like negative controversy. And when there's negative controversy, he likes to put out that fire quickly. Because if you're talking about one guy, it used to be Gary Bettman in the NHL. The guy who doesn't want any bad controversy is Rob Manfred. I don't know how long the Torpedo Bats are going to be here, but it's been really entertaining to talk about it on sports radio for a couple of weeks. Want to mention Aaron Rodgers. This guy is still incredible. He has the leverage over 2 teams right now, and he loves playing the leverage game. Dan Rooney of the Steelers have won 6 Super Bowls, and Mr. Rooney is patiently waiting for Aaron Rodgers to make a decision. So is Mike Tomlin, as he had a comment on it at the NFL owners meetings at the Breakers in West Palm Beach. Why isn't Aaron Rodgers begging the Steelers to do a deal? Because he has leverage. And I think that Aaron Rodgers really wants to play for the Minnesota Vikings like Brett Favre did. The Vikings have a team ready to win a Super Bowl. They have an excellent roster. The Vikings will not make the playoffs or be close to winning a playoff game with J.J. McCarthy because he's never played an NFL game. And give me a break if you think he's going to do a Jaden Daniels. He won't. He'll probably do a Caleb Williams because it'll be his first year. And the Vikings have never won a championship. Very similar to the Clippers, the Padres, the Mariners. Go through all the teams that have never won a world championship. Well, the Vikings are one of those teams. They don't have time to wait. And as the clock is ticking for Aaron Rodgers, he knows that he makes the Vikings better. If he goes to Pittsburgh, I think, is an automatic playoff team with DK Metcalf there. They have good receivers, a good core defense, but maybe not good enough to win a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers is playing this perfectly. The guy is playing out the last leverage play of his career. He had the Netflix documentary. He played that up perfectly. He's throwing at UCLA. He's letting everybody see him on Instagram because he knows the more people are thinking about him, the more people will start talking about him. I think Aaron Rodgers ends up going to the Steelers, but man, he's making the Steelers wait, and the Steelers shouldn't have to wait for anybody. Five-time major golf champion Brooks Koepka is disappointed that Live Golf isn't farther along in their ultimate path to be legitimate. This guy's a beauty. You got to be kidding me. Really, Brooks? You sold your soul to play for the money from the Saudis. You knew what you were doing. You took all the money. Now you have second thoughts. Look, I love golf, and the Masters is right around the corner, a tradition unlike any other. I love the PGA Tour more than Live Golf. And I understand why Live golfers wanted to take all that money. It's enormous wealth. But now they're starting to realize that no one's watching, even though they have a new television partner. No one's watching. They all knew from day one no one cares. You think they care about a Live Golf tournament in Singapore or the Players' Championship at PGA Sawgrass? You all know the answer to that. And the worst part about it for the Live golfers is they're not playing great competitive golf under pressure, so they're not ready to play in a major. You know, Bryson DeChambeau possibly, Koepka, Dustin Johnson's toast, Sergio, they're going to have no chance to compete at these big tournaments when they get an opportunity to play at the majors. So for Brooks Koepka and all the Live golfers, I have an idea. Come back to the table and negotiate. Throw in the towel on Live. Come back to the PGA Tour. We'll take a little bit of what worked at Live. We'll bring it into the PGA Tour. But you must come back to the PGA Tour, where Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Arnold Palmer, Scotty Scheffler play. You have to admit defeat with Live Golf. Great idea, great money grab. Now it's time to put on pants, take off your shorts, and get back to being professional golfers again. Alex Ovechkin's about to pass Wayne Gretzky as the all-time scoring leader in NHL history. Wow. Maybe the best pure scorer of all time in the slot, in the crease, a physical giant. Also a Russian. So the all-time record's not going to go to an American, understandably. Not going to a Canadian, where Wayne Gretzky had it, but to a Russian in 2025. Very interesting. I was in the building in Las Vegas when the Washington Capitals won the Stanley Cup and beat my Vegas Golden Knights. I saw Ovechkin play and dominate throughout his career. He is one of the most worthy players ever to skate on the ice anywhere around the world. I congratulate him for this major accomplishment, and he's a great hockey player who respects the sport, respects his opponents. He's not Wayne Gretzky. There'll only be the great one, and then there's Mario Lemieux. But Alex Ovechkin, this is a longevity play. The longer you play, the more numbers you got. Just like I don't think LeBron's better than Michael Jordan, but he's got all the scoring records and he's lapping Mike. Congratulations to Alex Ovechkin as he's about to make history. That guy's one tough hockey player. The NFL draft is coming up later this month on April 24th in Green Bay, Wisconsin, one of the historic spots of NFL history. I think this draft has got about 11 or 12 players you got to get. Everybody keeps telling me that it's a deep, deep running back market. You're right. I've had guests on my shows that said at least 30 running backs could get drafted in all the rounds there. That's a big number. Wide receivers, other than Ted McMillan, there's some good ones, but there's a quick drop-off quickly. And when it comes to cornerback, defensive tackle, you better get your star early. I think what's going to make this the most amazing draft in the first 8 or 9 picks that we've seen in a while is there's just such a question mark for Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur, should he go second to Cleveland? That's the graveyard for quarterbacks. But if Cleveland gets it right with Shedeur, they have a face of a franchise for the next 15 years. If he doesn't go there and drops to the Giants, would the Giants take Shedeur? Probably not now, because they got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, and they're both good players. And then what happens if Shedeur drops to 6 for the Raiders? A lot of the Raider Nation has been moaning about not having a quarterback and a franchise quarterback since Derek Carr. Good enough to pass on Shedeur for a running back like Ashton Genty? Risk reward when it comes to that. And then we get to the Jets at number 7. Maybe that's the perfect spot for Shedeur. The Jets don't have a quarterback. They're a major market team. They've hit rock bottom, and Shedeur could be the savior in the tri-state area of New York. And then you know what you get? You get a guarantee that Deion Sanders becomes the head coach of the Jets in the next 2 to 3 years, because he's not going to sit back and wait. If Shedeur is struggling, Daddy's going to show up to the rescue.